for me, when I wrote that song, I just knew in my heart and my gut that it was going to be the first thing I ever put out. And it just changed everything for me.
Hey friends, it's your girl, Emily Curl, coming to you live from LA. And this is a very special shoot because we are joined today by country music icon. We have Maren Morris here with us. Hi, Maren. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here.
This is a special shoot that we do called our iHeartRadio's The Box, where we take a walk down memory lane. We're going to walk through some key moments and milestones from your career, and we put a few surprises in there. So whenever you're ready, let's go ahead and dive in and pull out that first item.
All right. First item is a church. I feel like that's a perfect first thing to pull out because that was my first single.
My Church, again, that's one that I feel like so many people knew you from, and you reference it in your new album. Tell me what this song means to you.
I mean, it's one of those songs that only comes around, I think, once in an artist's career. And for me, when I wrote that song, I just knew in my heart and my gut that it was going to be the first thing I ever put out. And it just changed everything for me. And I wouldn't be here in the same way today if I hadn't put that out for the world to hear. So it's one of those that like always gets me emotional when I sing it in my show.
And I feel like country music lovers always know the feeling of top down, you're on the highway, you're listening to a song that speaks to your soul, right? You go to church. What is the latest country music song that you feel like has been like really taking you to church recently?
There's been so many albums, especially during the pandemic, that brought me like back to reality and just made me have fun again. I think Dua Lipa's Future Nostalgia was one of those records that just brought everyone out of their COVID doldrums. I love Doja Cat's album. I love Jasmine Sullivan's Hotels record. Yeah, I mean, there's been so much great music released during such an uncertain time that it's inspired me to like get out of bed in the morning and do this again.
Yeah, well, you sure did. We're going to get to that. All right, Maren, let's go ahead and move on to the next item.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, this is a photo of me and Gabby Woodland on the set of my video for Better Than We Found It.
Tell me about Gabby Woodland. How did you guys get connected? And tell me about her creative vision too.
Weirdly, like in the pandemic on Instagram, like that's how I've discovered a lot of amazing artists and directors of videos is just through Instagram and just scrolling and becoming a fan myself. So she's a really, really talented director and photographer, and she is part-time in Nashville, part-time in New York City, and she directed the video for Better Than We Found It and really gathered all the stories that went into that video and story being told. So she was just so respectful and gentle because it was like really hard things that we were talking about and discussing. So she did it in such a beautiful, respectful way.
Yeah. And how important is it for you to hire women on your sets? I think I always get excited when I see a woman director.
I have a ton of women that work in my band and my crew that like, it's just normal to see a bunch of women around, and we keep it pretty like even split, I would say at this point. But the few women directors that I've worked with on videos, especially like with the My Church video, Rachel McDonald directed years ago. That was my first ever music video. Better Than We Found It. Circles Around This Town, Harper Smith directed. I just feel like I can really have fun and connect on a creative level with those women. And they bring out the best of me.
I love that. Well, we've got a few more items for you. Go ahead and dive in, pull out our next thing that we have for you.
What is next? Oh, okay.
We have a Batmobile. Tell me this story with you and Keith Urban in this Batmobile.
Yeah, because this says to Maren from Keith. So Keith Urban took me on tour back in 2016, and it was my first ever tour. And at the end of it, I don't know if everyone does this, but in country music, we get like end of tour gifts for people, like for the crew and the band and the openers. So Keith gave me this, I think it was called a slingshot, but it looked like a 3-wheeled Batmobile car. It was like a motorcycle car, and it was the most shocked I think I've ever been. I've never received or have since a car as a gift. But Keith Urban, you give really good gifts.
We love that. Do you still have it? Did you keep it?
My dad has it because he is a big nerd about those things. So every time I'm home, I get to like take it for a spin, but my dad has a lot of fun with it.
All right, what do we have next?
Okay, this looks like a little hummingbird. How pretty.
It is a hummingbird. And this has dual meaning for you, which talk to us about both, because Hummingbird is on your new album that you wrote for your son, and also your hummingbird guitar. Tell us both of those stories.
Yeah, so hummingbirds have always followed me throughout my life. They are so significant to me, and they're just really beautiful, little tiny, cute, nomadic creatures. I think that they're just, I have a hummingbird feeder in my backyard, but my backyard is like too wooded, so they never find it. But yeah, my first tattoo was a hummingbird. My first real guitar that was like a prized possession to me was my Gibson hummingbird that I got when I was 18. And then the day I found out I was pregnant with my son, I wrote the song Hummingbird that ended up on my record. And so he was like my little hummingbird heartbeat when I was pregnant. And so yeah, they're really significant to me. So that's so cute. If I can keep this, I'm going to give it to my son. That'll feel really
keep it for sure.
That'll feel really full circle with the song.
It's so beautiful. When you think about your son getting older and listening to your music, like what do you hope that he like can find out about you through your albums?
I mean, I hope he thinks I'm cool. I don't know if he will. I don't know if he'll care. He probably won't think like me being a musician is that weird because he's grown up around it. But I mean, I hope that, especially with a song like Hummingbird, you can hear a recording of him talking at the top of it. So I hope that he always knows that he's a part of this record.
It's beautiful. Okay, we have a few more things for you, Maren, if you want to dive in there.
Yeah. Oh, the Highwomen album cover.
Yeah, the Highwomen.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like when I first found out that you guys were performing, this was killer. Such a big moment. Why do you think it was important to have the Highwomen for you?
I mean, I joined in 2019 and I didn't realize how much I was really craving and needing that female energy in my life. I think it was a really delicate time for me as a newer artist. I was putting out my second record, and then Brandi Carlile called me to see if I wanted to join and make this record with the Highwomen. And it's just one of my proudest musical projects I've been a part of because it's so soulful. We're all bringing something very different musically to the table, but we blend so beautifully together as a unit and as a band. And so just us all coming from such different backgrounds and genres is so cool. And it's, yeah, definitely one of the coolest, most beautiful projects I've ever been a part of as an artist.
And can we expect more music from the Highwomen in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I'm about to put this record out. I know Brandi just put her record out a few months back. So we're all doing like solo projects right now, but we have definitely reached out and talked about getting back in the studio when we can all get a chance to. So hopefully we make it our next record soon.
Yes, fingers crossed for that.
Yeah.
I love that one. Such a good one. Okay, dive back in. What else do we have for you?
This is very memory lane. This is my wedding day photo with my husband. This was back in 2018. Yeah, that was our little Nashville wedding. That was the best day. We had the best party. It was historic. But no, I love this photo and I loved what we both were wearing. I was wearing a dress that I modeled after my mom's wedding dress. She had a short wedding dress. She was very ahead of her time. And I had these amazing sparkly Gucci shoes with little bumblebees on them. And yeah, I felt pretty rock and roll in my wedding dress outfit that day. And then Ryan in his like blue tux was so beautiful.
Okay, let's dive right in. I love them.
What else? Oh my gosh. There's a little hair dryer.
Yes, we have the hair dryer. Yeah.
I'm assuming this is significant because my mother is a hairdresser. I grew up in a hair salon, essentially. My mom and dad own a hair salon still to this day in Arlington, Texas. That's named after me and my sister. And that was my first job, was being a receptionist there. And so I definitely grew up in a Southern beauty parlor. So I love that.
Did you find that you would often sing to a lot of the clients? Like when you were there, like, was that your thing? Was that some of your first performances?
No, but my parents would have this like Christmas end of the year party for their employees, and they would always have a karaoke machine, and it was always in our house. They would have the party. And so I would sneak downstairs from my bedroom and start singing karaoke when no one was watching. And so my first performances, I suppose, were in front of the hairdressers. So love the hairdryer.
A few more items in the box for you. Let's see what's next.
This says play video 1.
Please welcome back to the stage. This is CMA Best New Artist, Maren
Morris. This is so funny to me.
Okay, so during Keith's show, Keith Urban, back in 2016, he would ask me to come out and sing his duet, We Were Us, and I would sing the Miranda Lambert part. And so every night for like 64 shows, I would come out and sing with him, and I would always wear this like fur coat. I was doing that entire year. And so it was our last show with him, and I wanted to do this tour prank where my drummer, Christian, would put on one of my fur coats, and he bought this like wig that didn't even look like my hair, but it served its purpose, I suppose. And he would walk out and be me, but I would be side stage with the real microphone singing the song, so we didn't throw the entire show off. But Keith was hearing my voice, but seeing Christian, my very bearded, hairy drummer, come out in my coat, and Keith definitely lost it. So mission accomplished on the
It's so funny. Seeing Keith laugh like that is so funny to me.
Oh my gosh, it was epic.
Now we have another video for you if you want to go ahead and pull that one right out.
And the Grammy goes to
Maren Morris.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, this is so crazy. 11 years ago, I went to the first ever Grammy camp. It was the first time I ever flew on a plane by myself to LA, and it's crazy to be here a decade later.
Maren, your first Grammy. We're watching that video. Where do you go in your mind? What does that take you to?
I think just how unexpected it was. I think you can see, like, I was not prepared to give a speech. I was stumbling over everything I said, but it was so sweet and so real, and you know, it was just such a first for me. And and then my mom being in the crowd, like trying to hold it together, was so precious. But yeah, that was for my church, was when I won that. So that's definitely the beginning of my journey.
You now watching that back, looking at that Maren, what would you tell her? What piece of advice would you give her for the road ahead?
I mean, I would say, like, maybe have something prepared to say next time, so you don't look completely like a deer in headlights. But, you know, maybe that was part of the greenness of being a new artist charm. I would just say, like, process and live every moment you're feeling, because so much of it is happening so quickly. You don't really get time in those first few years to savor the things that are happening to you. And it wasn't really until COVID, where touring was blown out for 2 years, that I had to be forced to stop and like really look at the last few years of my life and what I've been able to do, and just be like, wow, I did that. Like, I'm so proud of myself, and got the chance to really like savor that moment. So I would just say, yeah, like, take it slow and try to feel as present as possible.
Let's pull out our very last item, and this one is the most special item. Here we go.
Yes.
Bring it out, Maren.
Here she is, the vinyl album cover for Humble Quest.
Maren, congratulations, Humble Quest, the album. I told you, the album is so good. What does this project mean to you?
You know, I wouldn't call it like a pandemic record, but I definitely made it during that time where everything felt very quiet and a little uncertain, and there was just a ton of growth happening for most of us, because we were forced to stop and like think about, hey, like, do I like this life? Like, do I like this job? Do I like this person? Like, do I like myself? I think it was really humbling for the world to go through that. And so these songs are just my account of how I got pulled out of it and how I remained hopeful. And so the songs are really hopeful when you listen to them. And that's the place that it brought me to. So I hope it does for those listening in their cars and on their turntables with this, is that it feels humbling, but it brings you out of whatever you're feeling in a comforting way.
You, in circles around this town, you make a note where it still feels like you're not finished yet. I can't remember the exact time, but it still feels like you're still, reaching for something. Do you still feel like that in your career, even after all this success?
Yeah. So the line is, I thought when I'd hit it, it would all feel different, but I've still got the pedal down. That's just like, I really thought when I was a kid, making it would be, winning a Grammy, getting a #1 song, or playing a sold out show. And like, those are all huge moments, but I'm still trying to like outdo my last self. And it's like this weird internal competition where my Nashville songwriter heart is always trying to up the bar and like impress my songwriter friends that live here in town, because they're like my heroes. So in a way, it's like talking about my journey, but it's also a love letter to the songwriters in this town that like keep me raising the bar on myself and inspire me every day. So it's just, it's a special one.
Like you mentioned, so many of your dreams that you had thought about have come true. You have these #1s, you have the Grammys. Are you still dreaming? What is that next dream for Maren, whether it's in your personal life or in music?
I just want to, like, all the things that I once thought were always going to be around were taken away for 2 years. So I'm just happy to be touring. I'm going to have my son out with me. Hopefully I can just savor that and start writing songs even more so, and travel and just enjoy this life that I've built and never take it for granted, because it was taken away in a lot of ways for a long time with just everything shutting down. So I'm a lot more like aware of it now than I once was.
Maren, truly congratulations on the album. And again, thank you so much for taking the time, for diving into iHeartRadio's The Box. And it was so nice to finally meet you. Hopefully next time it's in person.
You? I know. Someday, again, we will do this in person.
Someday soon. Maren, thank you so much again.
Thanks.
Thanks so much for diving into iHeartRadio's The Box with Maren Morris. Make sure you get her new album, Humble Quest. It's out now. You do not want to miss this. And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.